네, 안녕하세요. 다들 실적 발표 AMC 주주분들 실적 발표 와주셔서 다들 감사하고요. 저 잠시 지금 이 리포트 나와가지고 지금 잠깐 이것 좀 한번 좀 적어 보겠습니다. 지금 AMC가 지금 장 후반간에 급등을 했고요. 이제 클로브 같은 경우도 오늘 실적 나왔는데 18% 올라는 상태네요. AMC는 아직 하여튼 지금 4.3% 정도 가고 있는 상황이고, 이거 혹시 좀 늦어지는 딜레이도 있을 수도 있으니까 야후 파이낸스랑 같이 한번 비교해서 볼게요. 오늘 너무 많이 뺐죠. 전반적으로 시장이 피바다였는데, 제가 봤을 때 오늘이 마지막인 것 같습니다. 하여튼 작년에도 보니까 요 5월 말에 얘네들 실적 발표 딱 요전에 어디 갔어? 6개월 차트인가? 여기 있다. 작년에 5월 말에, 오늘이 5월 9일이죠. 실적 발표가 이때 5월 7일 날 나왔고, 이 5월 7일 이전에 5월 7일이 작년에 금요일, 그리고 10일, 하여튼 금요일까지 뺐네요. 그리고 작년 같은 경우는 10일부터는 좀 올랐네. 하여튼 살짝 좀 틀리긴 한데, 하여튼 그래도 하여튼 오늘 하여튼 제일 많이 빠졌어요. 하여튼 그래서 이제는 오를 것 같습니다. 확실하게. 오늘이 마지막일 것 같아요. 어쨌든간 요거 좀 작성을 좀 하고 있을 테니까 잠시만 좀 기다려 주시기 바랍니다. 지금 어닝 그 나오는 거는 곧 나올 거예요. 지금 아직 2분 남았으니까 조금만 기다려 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 제가 대충 이렇게 일단 간략하게 좀 짜봤습니다. 그래서 요거 그냥 지금 실적 발표 이거 뭐 영어 하시는 분들도 계시겠지만 또 못 하시는 분도 있어서 그냥 일단 제가 간추려서 했는데 실적이 작년 2021년에 비해서 아이고 이거 뭐야 훨씬 더 좋았어요. 그래가지고 작년에는 이제 작년에 비해서 1,483억이 상승을 했고요. 큰 손실도 많이 줄였습니다. 거의 뭐 작년에는 5,600이니까 이거 계산하면 얼마야? 하여튼 빚이 좀 더 훨씬 거의 2,300억을 줄였어요. 순손실을. 그것도 되게 큰 것 같은데. 하여튼 그렇고 에비다 해가지고 총 2,330억, 그 다음에 617억의 손실 이렇게 나오고요. 그리고 현재 유동 자산은 1조 3천억 정도가 된다 합니다. AMC 이제 CEO 아담 에론이 이제 2년 동안 지금 뭐 그러니까 2022년, 2021년, 2020년 그때 이제 팬데믹 나고 나서 이제 워낙 이 경기가 안 좋았죠. 이 뭐라 그래 영화관 산업이 근데 이제 시장이 근데 이제 하여튼 이번에 가장 2002년 동안 가장 실적이 잘 나온 쿼터다 이렇게 얘기해주고 이제 스파이더맨 그리고 배트맨 소닉 2 그리고 닥터 스트레인지 첫 번째 주인가 하여튼 그 정도까지 해가지고 이렇게 실적에 담은 것 같은데 하여튼 그거의 성공으로 지금 영화관 업계는 잘 살아남고 있다는 것을 보여준다. 그리고 이제 사람들이 영화가 나오면 이제 큰 스크린에서 보기를 원하고 그리고 2022년 스크린 시장이 너무 좋을 것 같다고 하면서 이제 앞으로 나올 거 저번에도 영상에 보여드렸던데 하여튼 이런 것들 탑건 말브릭 그 누구야 그 사람 누구지 이 사람이 직접 뭐 감독도 하고 뭐 했다는데 그 이름 까먹었는데 톰 크루즈 맞아 톰 크루즈 영화 주라기 공원 죄송합니다 주라기 공원 이제 주라기 공원으로 주라기 공원 이제 그 또 새로운 버전이죠. 그거 나오고 또어 나오고 블랙팬더 나오고 뭐 여름에는 제가 봤을 때 여름에 실적이 좀 난리 날 것 같긴 한데 이번에 하여튼 5월 말에 좀 스케줄 예상하고 여름에 실적이 좋게 나오긴 한데 아마 사이클로 봤을 때는 7월 달에는 안 날 것 같거든요. 만약에 이번 5월 말에 낮게 되면은 그 다음 해가 그 옵션 만기일 뭐 그렇게 껴가지고 뭐 오펙스라고 하더라고요. 그래가지고 이제 5월 그러니까 사이클이 2월, 5월 이렇게 3개월 기준이에요. 그 다음에 8월 말이 될 거예요. 근데 8월 말에 그게 또 올지 안 올지 모르겠어요. 뭐 8월 말에 한번 싹 오고 또 9월 달, 10월 달에 이제 한번 또 폭락장이 또 올 수도 있고 뭐 그거는 뭐 장담을 못 하겠지만은 어쨌든 간 하여튼 이번 여름에 하여튼 그렇게 실적이 이렇게 요거 나올 때 정말 좋을 것 같습니다. 아바타는 12월 달에 나옵니다. 하여튼 이렇게 웅장한 영화들이 이제 기다리고 있다라고 이제 말씀을 했고요. 그리고 이제 9,500억을 들여서 레이저 프로젝트를 이제 미국에 있는 3,500군데 영화관에 2026년까지 놓을 예정이다라고 했습니다. 그래서 업그레이드를 시키는 거죠. 어떤 레이저 프로젝트는 모르겠는데 약간 좀 친환경적인 뭐 그런 거라고 얘기를 들은 것 같습니다. 그리고 NFT 프로젝트, 전자화폐, 뭐 도지코인, 시바이누, 뭐 비트코인, 이더 이런 것들 이제 받는다고 저번에 말씀드렸죠 영상으로. 그리고 다른 지불 방법, 뭐 페이팔이라든지 애플페이, 구글페이 등을 이제 승낙을 했다고 이제 얘기를 했어요. 그래서 여기서 들어오는 그런 수익금도 좀 보고 싶습니다. 그리고 저번 달에 이제 280억을 하이크로프트 마이닝 HYMC에 투자를 했고 지금 현재 HYMC 주가가 어떻게 되죠? 저번에 한 30% 올랐는데 오늘 또 16%가 빠졌군요. 예, 요때 갑자기 급등했죠. 실적 나오고 나서 하여튼 그런 식으로 지금 계속 꼼지락꼼지락 지금 빼고 앉아 있는데 이것도 이제 거의 다 끝나다가 아마 또 이게 확 뜰 수도 있을 거예요 아마. 예, 하여튼 요것도 하여튼 잘 뭐 저는 없지만은 하여튼 좀 나중에 또 저는 관람으로 좀 보겠습니다. 그리고 하여튼 그렇게 투자를 했다고 이렇게 해요. 그래서 뭐 별다른 내용 없어요. 그 후로는. 네, 하여튼 그렇게 있는 상황입니다. 지금 이제 5시가 됐기 때문에 지금 한번 틀어보겠습니다. 시작됐습니다.
In light of the uncertainties inherent in any forward-looking statements, listeners are cautioned to not place undue reliance on these statements. The company undertakes no obligation to revise or update any forward-looking statements, whether as a result of new information or future events. On this webcast, we may reference non-GAAP financial measures such as adjusted EBITDA, operating free cash flow, operating cash burn, operating cash generated, among others. For a full reconciliation of our non-GAAP measures to GAAP results, please see our earnings release posted in the Investor Relations section of our website. After our prepared remarks, there will be a Q&A session. This afternoon's webcast is being recorded, and a replay will be available in the Investor Relations section of our website at amctheaters.com later today. With that, I'll turn the call over to Adam.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Following on the heels of our progress throughout 2021, AMC's first quarter of 2022 marked yet another milestone. Thanks in part to Sony's Uncharted and Warner Brothers' The Batman, it was our best first quarter in 2 years. And we exceeded market expectations with a more than five-fold or $637 million improvement in revenue and an almost 80% or $233 million improvement in adjusted EBITDA compared to the same quarter of a year ago. What a difference a year makes. We are especially encouraged that when they did come to our theaters, our guests have been spending like never before, with revenues per patron through the roof, at AMC up 34% above pre-pandemic norms and meaningfully higher than was seen at our largest competitors. During our last earnings webcast, we noted the timing of when big movies would release this year, not because of streaming and not because of COVID fears among patrons, but rather solely because of what titles would open when. We told you on our last call that the first quarter of 2022 would be the softest quarter of this year and that box office numbers would improve sequentially as the year progressed. This view remains exactly how we see this year unfolding, with an improving box office and improving financial performance at AMC each and every successive quarter. But the real news of the day is the $187.4 million domestic opening and the $450 million global opening of Disney's Doctor Strange. This one was the biggest movie opening of 2022 and the second biggest opening of the pandemic era, second only to Spider-Man: No Way Home. Let me say it again to all those who doubted the consumer appeal of movie theaters. Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange. And not only is the movie clearly a big hit, I'm also absolutely pleased to report to you that AMC overperformed for this movie on opening weekend with a 26% domestic market share, considerably higher than our historic 22% domestic market share norms. Given that AMC is the largest movie theater company in the world, we can say to our shareholders with some glee and delight that the resilience of movie theaters is right now on clear display and that the future of the cinema is bright. Indeed, we've already kicked off the second quarter with Sonic, who raced his way to the highest domestic opening weekend of all time for a video game adaptation and has thus far generated nearly $350 million of worldwide box office revenue. And as I said just a moment ago, this past weekend, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange. But we believe this is just the tip of the iceberg for what's to come in the summer and the balance of 2022. What an array of compelling and exciting film titles lies ahead for the rest of the year. We are just 2.5 weeks away from the premiere of my personal favorite, Paramount and Tom Cruise's long-awaited and highly anticipated Top Gun Maverick. I saw the movie in a private screening for exhibitors a few weeks ago. It is just stunning. In my view, it's a cinematic masterpiece, and oh my, are we going to sell tickets for Top Gun Maverick at AMC. The second quarter also will include such crowd pleasers as Universal's Jurassic World Dominion and for audiences young and old, back from infinity and beyond, Pixar's Lightyear. Later in the year, in the second half, we have one amazing title after another, especially including Baz Luhrmann's brilliant biopic of Elvis, starring Tom Hanks as Colonel Parker, along with Illumination's Minions: The Rise of Gru, Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder, Jordan Peele's latest original edge-of-your-seat horror flick, Nope, and Brad Pitt's action-packed thriller, Bullet Train. The movies keep coming in 2022. We'll finish the year with Warner Brothers DC Comics-based Black Adam, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and 3 more Disney films, which are sure to be monstrous hits, including the animated Strange World and 2 highly anticipated tentpole Disney sequels, Marvel's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and James Cameron's Avatar 2, the sequel to Avatar, at the time of its original release, the highest worldwide grossing movie of all time. I've had the privilege of spending some time with the brilliant James Cameron and his producing partner John Landau, and have seen actual footage from Avatar 2, which is just glorious. I can tell you with certainty that movie audiences are going to be mesmerized by their return to Pandora. As a result, the entire movie industry is going to end 2022 in grand style. It's just so very clear in our eyes. Just as Nicole Kidman proclaimed in our ever so successful television advertising, which has attained a cult-like status, moviegoers are so eager to return to the magic offered at AMC theaters. They want dazzling images on a huge silver screen. They want to immerse themselves in stories that are perfect and powerful. They want to enjoy comfortable recliner seating, a bucket of buttered popcorn, and a Coke. They want more IMAX and Dolby Cinema screens at AMC than are offered by any other movie exhibitor. And for just a few hours, they want to escape. They want to escape the news, the internet, war, politics, inflation, interest rate hikes, their phone, and the interruptions that inevitably come when at home. So there is no confusion. At AMC, we are very optimistic about the outlook for the 2022 box office, that we believe could be close to double that of 2021 and 4 times that of 2020. No one has a perfect crystal ball, but our hope and current expectation is that the fourth quarter of 2022 will finally reach, or will get close to, pre-pandemic levels of revenue. Some on Wall Street and some in the press have been filling our heads for 2 years now about the rise of streaming and the corresponding end of theaters. This won't be the first time or the last time that conventional wisdom will be proven to be filled with so much folly and so very wrong. Movie theaters have been central to the cultural fabric of America and the world for more than a century, and their promise and potential remains resilient and real. Many of us on this call can remember the revealing and clarifying language that came out of the 1992 presidential campaign when James Carville said, "It's the economy, stupid." Well, for the movie theater business, it's the movies, stupid. And oh, do we have hit movies now coming to an AMC theater near you. I'll be back in a few minutes to provide some strategic updates and take your questions, but now I'll turn the call over to our CFO, Sean Goodman. Sean?
Thank you, Adam, and thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. During the first quarter, we welcomed 39 million guests to our theaters around the world. This is a very significant increase from the 7 million guests that we entertained in the same period last year. And our Q1 2022 attendance generated revenue of $785.7 million. This is more than 5 times the $148.3 million of revenue that we had in Q1 of 2021. In addition, Our Q1 22 adjusted EBITDA improved by $233 million to a loss of $61.7 million, and this compares to a loss of $294.7 million in Q1 of 2021. Clearly, we're making meaningful progress along our recovery path. While Q1 revenue and attendance were well below pre-pandemic levels, this is precisely as we predicted in our most recent quarterly earnings call. Knowing that the timing of when the big movies would be released this year, we said then that the industry box office would rise markedly in calendar year 2022, but that most of this strength would occur in the second half of 2022. In Q1, we saw that the box office momentum built as the quarter progressed, and Q2 has started off strong. Just this past weekend, look at the robust Doctor Strange opening. Indeed, consumers are flocking to the theaters once again. We're very encouraged by the compelling upcoming film slate and our consistently very strong post-pandemic operating performance that reflects our laser focus on both the guest experience and profit improvement initiatives to grow and enhance the business. First quarter consolidated revenue per patron was $20.11. That's 33.7% higher than pre-pandemic Q1 of 2019. Consolidated admissions revenue per patron was up 23.9%, and consolidated food and beverage revenue per patron was up 40%. Both of this is compared to the first quarter of 2019. In our domestic business, admissions revenue per patron increased by 28.5% compared to pre-pandemic Q1 2019, and our international business achieved a 15% increase. The admissions revenue per patron growth was driven by guests increasingly choosing to upgrade to the very best possible sight and sound experiences that can only be found at our premium large format offerings such as IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and AMC Prime. PLF, or premium large format attendance, represented 16% of our domestic attendance in Q1 of 2022 compared to 13% in the first quarter of 2019. And in our international markets, Q1 2022 PLF attendance represented 9.5% compared to 8.1% in the first quarter of 2019. In addition, we also benefited from an overall favorable showtime mix coupled with pricing adjustments, including blockbuster and opening weekend pricing. From a food and beverage perspective, we continue to enjoy exceptionally strong food and beverage revenue per patron as our guests enjoy the full outside-the-home entertainment experience that is offered at AMC. In our domestic markets, food and beverage spend per patron in the first quarter was $7.52. That is 43.7% higher than the average spend in pre-pandemic Q1 2019. And in the international business, food and beverage spend per patron was $4.40, and that is 35% higher than pre-pandemic Q1 of 2019. Our significant food and beverage outperformance continues to be primarily driven by an increase in the proportion of guests choosing to enjoy our industry-leading food and beverage offerings that are made easy and convenient to purchase through the AMC app. Consolidated other revenue per patron in Q1 2022 increased by 82.4% compared to the same period in 2019, with domestic other revenue per patron increasing 93.5% and international other revenue per patron increasing by 61.9%. These statistics reflect an increasingly higher percentage of guests that are choosing to reserve their seats and to order their food and beverage in advance using our industry-leading website and app, together with the benefit of diversification initiatives that we've deployed, such as renting our theaters during off-peak times to businesses and government organizations for meetings or other events. In an ongoing effort to enhance efficiency, we continue to be extremely agile in adjusting payroll hours and flexing show times to reflect the market demand and to optimize our efficiency. For example, our Q1 domestic attendance of 25.8 million guests represented 46.9% of Q1 2019 attendance, but it also represented 71% of Q1 2019's attendance per showing. Moving to cash and liquidity, we ended the quarter with a liquidity of approximately $1.4 billion, comprised of $1.165 billion of cash and cash equivalents and $211 million of undrawn credit facilities. As anticipated and as discussed during last quarter's webcast, cash burn this quarter was adversely impacted by normal seasonal Q1 working capital needs. Our working capital almost always comes under pressure during Q1 following a strong Q4 holiday box office, and this year was no exception. Operating cash burn, representing cash burn before debt servicing costs and before deferred rent payback, was $223.9 million, and this compares to $321.6 million in Q1 of 2021. Looking ahead, we expect our cash burn to improve sequentially through the year, with Q2 being better than Q1, but still relatively weak, but with the second half of 2022 being substantially better than the first half, with positive operating cash generation by the fourth quarter. Regarding capital allocation, we continue to pursue a balanced and very disciplined approach to capital allocation. Our priorities remain unchanged. 1, ensuring that we have sufficient liquidity to manage through the recovery phase of our business. 2, strengthen our balance sheet by reducing our debt and associated interest costs. 3, invest in our business to enhance the guest experience. And 4, opportunistically pursue value-enhancing initiatives, including those that lead to diversification of our business. So far this year, we have been very active in allocating capital to enhance shareholder value. As we previously reported, earlier this year we completed a highly successful capital raising, issuing $950 million of 7.5% first lien notes. As a result of this transaction, we were able to repay high interest debt that was raised at the height of the pandemic and thereby reduce our annual interest expense. At the same time, we extended our debt maturities by between 3 and 4 years. During the first quarter of 2022, we also repaid approximately $45 million of deferred rent, reducing our deferred rent balance to approximately $272 million. We expect to further reduce this deferred rent balance during 2022 by another approximately $125 million. And we continue to work on other attractive opportunities to strengthen our balance sheet and enhance our financial flexibility. Actively managing our theater portfolio is ongoing at AMC as we add new high-performing locations and eliminate low performers, all with the goal of improving guest satisfaction and optimizing our overall profitability. During the quarter, we added 3 new theaters and we closed 12. This brings the total number of locations closed since the pandemic began to 95, and the total number of new locations opened to 33, for a net reduction of 62 locations through Q1 2022. In addition, in early April, we announced the acquisition of 7 formerly Bowtie Cinema locations in Connecticut, upstate New York, and Annapolis, Maryland. And last month, we announced a significant investment to dramatically upgrade the sight and sound experience at AMC through the installation of laser projection equipment at 3,500 auditoriums in the U.S. through 2026. This equipment has a value of approximately $250 million, although our upfront capital investment is minimal based on our agreement with our partner, Cineonic. And this new projection equipment is also environmentally friendly and comes along with meaningful operating cost benefits. Net CapEx, including landlord contributions in Q1, was $34.2 million. And for 2022, separate and apart from any M&A activity, we're expecting net CapEx to be in the range of $150 to $200 million. Finally, in mid-March, we announced our investment in Hycroft Mining. As a result of this investment of $27.9 million, we recorded a mark-to-market gain of $63.9 million in the first quarter of 2022. This is based on the share price of Hycroft on March 31st. The theater operating enhancements and efficiency optimization initiatives implemented over the last 2 years have positioned us very well, and we continue to focus on initiatives to grow our revenue, increase our efficiency, enhance the guest experience, and diversify our business, all with the goal of growing shareholder value and ensuring our success in a post-COVID environment. And with that, I'll pass the call back over to Adam.
Thank you, Sean. Before we open up this webcast to questions, I'd like to update you on some of our key strategic initiatives to enhance value for AMC and for our shareholders. Let's start with our strategy at AMC, which can best be described with 3 unmistakable words: recovery, agility, transformation. You'll hear this almost as a mantra a lot from us as we move forward. As for recovery, over the last 5 quarters, our financial performance has clearly indicated that AMC is on a glide path to recovery from the impact of COVID-19. For sure, in 2020, COVID took AMC to our knees. But like the plot in any great fight movie, in 2021, AMC got up off the canvas, dusted ourselves off, steadied ourselves, and started to play on offense again. We get stronger and stronger as each day passes, and pretty soon we'll be back to normal, punching away as you would expect from the number 1 player in theatrical exhibition. We're not where we want to be or need to be yet, but we now see it in our future. 2021 was a better year than 2020. 2022 will be a better year than 2021. And we already believe that given the expected movie slate, 2023 will be a better year than 2022. Our focus remains sharp on guiding AMC to a successful and lasting recovery from the impacts of the pandemic. At the same time as we're working to produce that recovery, we recognize that our industry is filled with change, so we must be agile and nimble in managing through that change. If 2020 and 2021 have demonstrated anything, it's that the management team at AMC is expert in navigating our way through uncharted waters. No matter what the world has thrown at us, we have risen to each and every challenge. Therefore, I have every confidence looking forward that AMC will continue to cope well as we bob and weave and adjust our course as may be required. No matter what change may lay ahead, our agility is the bedrock of which our solid foundation is built, and which in the end should see us through. Taken as a whole, AMC has demonstrated a remarkable ability and achieved a remarkable track record of navigating successfully through change. At the same time, armed as we have been by our shareholders with more than $1 billion war chest, we also will be looking for a transformational and value-creating metamorphosis of what AMC is. It's not enough for us just to bring back the AMC of pre-pandemic 2019. Several of us on this call have noted that AMC shares have traded above historic fundamentals of that old AMC. But you underestimate us, and you underestimate us mightily if you do not think we are looking to change AMC, to make it a bolder and grander enterprise. You do not understand if you do not think we are seeking out new and exciting opportunity. Our Hycroft mining investment is a perfect example. Some were stunned by our announcement because it did not align with their preconceived notions about AMC or what they thought were our core competencies. But during the pandemic, AMC demonstrated a keen insight into how companies could rescue themselves from liquidity challenges. That is the expertise that we brought to Hycroft, and so far, so good. At a time when the NASDAQ is off 9% in overall value, our investment in Hycroft Mining has increased by more than 30% as of Friday's closing price. As I've said before, those who think of AMC just in terms of the company that existed pre-pandemic are looking through a rear-view mirror to the past instead of looking through the front windshield towards the future. There is a myriad of opportunity out there as we build a new AMC and grow our way through value-creating initiatives. There will be more Hycrofts ahead, not gold or silver mining per se, although I must say that gold and silver mining was a fun way to start. But we will also be looking for more value-creating investments where AMC can continue to share our expertise and talents. For sure, though, we plan to be deliberative and disciplined in investing in opportunities to enhance our existing business or to diversify into previously unexplored markets or into industries where we can use our bold thinking, penchant for innovation, and capital raising experience to unlock value for AMC and for our shareholders. In addition to talking about our strategy, I also would like to share a quick update on a few previously announced initiatives. First, popcorn. We continue on the path to enter the attractive multi-billion-dollar retail popcorn industry expected for later this year. Move aside, Orville Redenbacher. You have a new competitor. Right now, we're in the midst of focused research and product testing. Among other popcorn-related concepts, later this year, you'll be able to order and have delivered to your home our AMC feature fare and classic menu items, including, of course, AMC Perfectly Popcorn, flatbreads, pretzel bites, and other snack items. This service will be piloted in key markets, such as Chicago this summer, with plans to launch system-wide in the United States in the fourth quarter of this year. We are also developing, as you know, a line of microwave and ready-to-eat popcorn products to be sold at grocery stores and other outlets so that customers can enjoy our unique and differentiated popcorn offering in the comfort of their homes. Again, hopefully launched to consumers before year end. Second, a comment on a branded credit card. Discussions are now underway by AMC with potential banking partners about the launch of a co-branded credit card aimed at AMC shareholders and moviegoers. Within a year of today, we will aim to place a significant number of these cards into the market. Our hope, too, is that this can be a quite lucrative business opportunity for AMC. Third, on NFTs and cryptocurrency. We have 8 different NFT programs that either already have been launched or are in the works. They've already helped us to stimulate the sale of movie theater tickets for movies like Spider-Man No Way Home, Dune, and The Batman, or to increase the effectiveness of other AMC programs like AMC Investor Connect, which now has some 665,000 enrolled members. We'll continue to explore how NFTs can drive increased profitability for AMC going forward. As for cryptocurrency, with great fanfare, we now accept a wide array of cryptocurrencies for online payments at AMC. The same IT programming that was required for us to accept cryptocurrency also enabled us to accept other payment types, including Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, BitPay, and Venmo, among others. Taken together, these various new payment options impressively recently represented about 35% of our total online payments. Fourth, a comment on our pricing actions. AMC has taken in the past a number of big, smart, and innovative steps on theater ticket and food and beverage pricing. Just look at our revenues per patron in Q1, which have been well on the march with obvious positive result. We have been guided in the past by a simple philosophy. We charged more when there was peak demand, and we charged less when demand was soft. So far, that rational view of the laws of supply and demand has worked well for AMC. And fifth, investments in our theatrical exhibition business. During 2021 and so far during 2022, we acquired 1/3 of the former ArcLight Pacific Theater circuit located in major metropolitan markets like Los Angeles, San Diego, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. And we acquired about 3/5 of Bowtie Cinema's locations, mostly in Connecticut, along with upstate New York and Annapolis, Maryland. When we add AMC's expertise, unique guest offerings, and industry-leading loyalty programs, these new theater locations begin to soar. As an example, our mid-2021 acquisitions of the Grove 14 and Americana at Brand 18, both in the Los Angeles market, have consistently ranked among the 30 highest-grossing movie theaters in the entire United States since joining the AMC family. And we are not done yet. We will continue to explore adding high-profile, interesting, potentially profitable theaters to the AMC network. But we're not just acquiring new theaters. We're also investing in upgrading our fleet of theaters. AMC is committed to significantly grow the number of IMAX and Dolby Cinema locations in the months and years ahead. We are the leader in premium large format screens, and we intend to keep our advantaged position intact, secure, and growing. In addition to PLFs, our first major broad-scale projector upgrade since the transition to digital was announced 3 weeks ago by AMC as we introduced a new premium format, laser, at AMC, where we will begin deploying the latest laser projection technology in our theaters in some 3,500 auditoriums across the United States over the next several years. With this upgrade, AMC moviegoers can expect improved picture contrast, maximum picture brightness, and more vivid color. In short, a much better viewing experience that will get moviegoers off their couches, at home, and into our theaters. As I conclude, I'd like to make a special comment to our avid, enthusiastic, and passionate retail investors who have embraced AMC with gusto over the past year and a half. As an example, there's one group of particularly committed AMC shareholders who sent me a binder, then followed up by an email that were filled with about 1,000 different ideas for AMC. Looking more broadly, the ideas keep coming and keep flowing to AMC from our shareholder base. I think it is well known that I write my tweets myself and I actively read my inbound Twitter feed. So literally thousands and thousands of times I have personally seen your observations and advice. I see your frustrations with your perceptions of how the market works or does not work, your anxiety over the number of so-called failed to deliver shares, or your alarm over something that by its very name sounds ominous in dark trading pools. And I hear the advice coming in Twitter post after Twitter post that comes from our approximate 4 million retail investors who own the vast majority of our 516.8 million issued shares. Your ire and anger directed at short sellers is evident. I hear your suggestions that we should call for more market regulation by government, or that we should take more company action by issuing a cash, gift card, or NFT dividend. And I hear how some of you actually want to donate money to help us build up our treasury and or pay down our debt. And that's just a few of the countless suggestions and pieces of advice I have received day in and day out. Not surprisingly, much of the advice that comes in conflicts with the advice that others of you share. And while most comes in constructively, some comes in with hostility or laced with threats. Most is well-intended, but some might be hurled at us with an intent of actually harming me or the company, possibly even coming in from short sellers or others motivated by malevolent intentions. All I can say to all of this is this: I greatly appreciate that you care so deeply. Also, running a company with such broad interest as AMC is an art form, not a science. There is real wisdom required in knowing what to do and knowing what not to do, in knowing when to do it and in knowing when not to do it. Having said that, you should not interpret silence as inaction. We are constantly exploring the smartest courses of action, and I promise you that we will pounce, but only when the timing is right. Being human, we will not always thread the needle perfectly, but for certain know this: we're doing our best. And even with my well-disclosed and advanced stock sales, I still have an interest in 2.9 million AMC shares. That is 793,974 shares that I own outright, and 2,100,076 granted but unvested AMC shares in addition. My every incentive is to think and to act like a shareholder to maximize the long-term value of AMC shareholders, because like you, that's what I am. I am an AMC shareholder above all else. In summary, our first quarter of 2022 was encouraging. Our liquidity position remains strong. The film slate is compelling, and we're playing on the offensive as we grow and diversify our business. While we're still in a recovery phase, the outlook is positive indeed in our view. Oh, and one last thing. Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange. Go see it. AMC just put a very big weekend on the books, and we're highly optimistic that it's a harbinger of things to come. And if you want to know what's to come, Top Gun Maverick, Memorial Day weekend, then Jurassic World Dominion, and then more and more and more and more. 2022 has me filled with excitement. Sean, now let's turn to questions, starting with questions from our shareholders.
Thanks, Adam. So we have a few questions to start relating to the upcoming shareholder meeting. Specifically, there's questions about people's voting materials, when they will be received, what is on the docket for voting at the shareholder meeting, and there's a question about will international shareholders be allowed to vote at this meeting.
Thank you for the question. Our shareholder meeting is scheduled for June 16th at 2 p.m. Central Time. It'll be held here in our offices in Leawood, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City. You all are invited. Those of you who are shareholders anyway. Those of you who are shareholders are invited to attend in person if you wish. We filed all the proxy papers with the SEC on April 29. You can access those proxy papers, if you haven't already seen them, by going to the Investor Relations section of the amctheaters.com website. Look at the Financial Performance tab. It's all there. As for voting materials, you should usually allow about 2 weeks or so for brokerage firms to get the proxy materials to you as a shareholder at AMC. If you do not receive proxy materials by mid-May, you definitely should contact your broker or our proxy solicitor, D.F. King, who is a special toll-free number for AMC shareholders at 1-888-625-2588. That number again is 1-888-625-2588. there are 3 issues up for a vote at the annual meeting. One is the election of directors of some members of our board who are up for re-election. Another is a non-binding advisory vote on say on pay. And the third is the ratification of our external auditors, Ernst & Young. As for our international shareholders, many of whom will be listening to this call today, we have a particular appreciation for those of you around the world who still follow AMC. This is a matter of some consternation for us. Whether you can vote at our shareholder meeting is entirely based on your brokerage firm. So I would encourage you to check with your broker internationally. Hopefully you're with one of the brokerage firms who will allow you to vote your shares at our annual meeting. If not, change brokers.
Thanks, Adam. So the next question is about our entry into the retail popcorn business. The specific question is, when is popcorn likely to be available in stores?
You know, as I said in my prepared remarks, our hope is that we can be there in the fourth quarter of this year, 2022. There's a lot of action behind the scenes, including discussions with various major retailers. And the one thing I know is that our microwave and ready-to-eat popcorn is going to be a strong competitor. Our brand resonates with consumers. We're known for popcorn. I've had lots of ideas submitted by shareholders that we should include something called a golden ticket with our packaging. That's a great idea, and I'm sure that we will, sort of like Cracker Jack has a gift in every box. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some benefit relating to AMC theater moviegoing in every box of our Purpley popcorn. You know, let's hope we can get there in the last trimester of 2022.
One of the many questions that, one of the many suggestions that we've had is relating to AMC merchandise. And there's a question of when can people expect to be able to purchase AMC merchandise?
So the suggestion of AMC merchandise is also a good idea. And we've tested some either at our theaters or online. We've had, you may recall, we had a Ghostbusters ambulance that we sold out of. We had Batman cowl popcorn holders that we sold out of. And what's very clear to us is the merchandise is going to work for us. We're in the process of figuring out now how to make AMC branded merchandise and movie-themed merchandise available to our guests, whether at theaters or online. Look for that to unveil to consumers sometime in the second half of 2022.
So people are asking what sort of marketing and initiatives are being done when we acquire new theater locations.
Well, I'll answer the question of what we're doing in a second, but let me start by saying it sure is working. Look at what's going on at the Grove and Americana at Brand out in LA. These were good and strong theaters for ArcLight. That's why we took them into and Pacific. That's why we took them into our network. But their performance has soared on our watch. There are like 5,000 movie theaters in the country, and these two have consistently been performing in the top 30 ever since we took them over. In terms of what we do, the first thing that we look at is how can we upgrade the product, bring AMC service levels and amenities into the theaters that we acquire. We'll be doing the same thing at the Bowtie theaters in Connecticut, upstate New York, and Annapolis that we did out west. In the case of some of our theaters, we're going to be installing IMAX locations or Dolby Cinema locations or both. Beyond improving the product, we're also bringing our loyalty programs to these theaters. AMC Stubs, our frequent movie-going program, AMC Stubs A-List, our monthly subscription program. We're also then, as we convert customers from these theaters into our loyalty programs, we're then communicating with them frequently, certainly on a weekly basis, to let them know what's coming at AMC. We're adding to all this local marketing through social media, including paid media. And as I said, it's all working really well so far. And I might add, we're not done. We're going to add more high-quality theaters to our network throughout 2022.
Some questions about dividends. When will AMC pay a dividend?
Well, I've seen suggestion after suggestion that you'd like to see us pay a dividend. I think we've announced publicly previously that our current debt documents prevent us from paying a cash dividend prior to June of 2023. So this is not really a decision for today. This is a decision for a year down the road.
Another one of the many suggestions, will AMC make its own movies?
You know, this one is a particularly interesting topic. Several years ago, AMC owned 50% of Open Road Films, where we did make our own movies, and in fact got the Oscar in 2016 for the Best Picture of the Year with Spotlight. And I have to say that there are a lot of conversations that are underway now with various movie makers about whether we should repeat our activity in prior years of making our own content. It is something that's on the list. We're thinking very hard about it. We've had very serious conversations with some very well-known movie studio executives, major movie directors, and it is something that has our attention.
With our recent...
can I just add,
sure,
while we're on the subject? But even if we were to make our own movies, now's a good time to put in a good word to our long-standing studio partners. Hollywood is turning out great product again, and it's finally being released exclusively in theaters for an exclusive theatrical window. And I just want to say how grateful we are to the likes of, you name it, Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers, Sony, Paramount, Lionsgate, all the makers of movies. And it does raise the question, can we convince some of the streamers to introduce their movies, some of their movies theatrically as well? We have had conversations over the years with Netflix, Amazon, and Apple. We continue to make it very clear that we would be very pleased to show some of their bigger, better movies. But in doing so, we have to respect our long-standing industry partners, the major studios. We can't have one set of rules for the major studios and a separate set of rules for streamers. But if we can convince the streamers that it's in their interest to show movies theatrically, that might be yet another way of getting more movie product into our theaters.
So with our recent acceptance of cryptocurrencies and other forms of payment, people want to know to what extent are these new forms of payment being accepted, including Dogecoin, Bitcoin, etc.?
So, you know, this was only put on our radar screen by our shareholders. And there was just enormous interest in it. And so we went down the path of doing the programming required to accept cryptocurrency. And what we found is that the same programming that was needed to accept cryptocurrency is the exact same programming that we needed to accept Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and a whole bunch of other payment types. And it's been a massive home run for us. While crypto itself is modest in usage, when you take all of those new payment types that we introduced for AMC as a result of our exploring crypto, you know, again, it's in the neighborhood of a third of our total online ticketing is now being paid for in all these various alternate payment methods. So I would say this whole endeavor has been a massive success for us. And of course, the holy grail is, do we actually ever consider launching a cryptocurrency of our own? We've said publicly that we're intrigued by that notion. We're studying that notion. The biggest issue that we want to make sure that we get exactly right is that we believe the regulatory environment around cryptocurrency will radically change during 2022 and 2023, and we want to make sure that if we do embrace issuing cryptocurrency rather than just accepting cryptocurrency, that we anticipate the new regulatory climate well, and we stay on the right side of the law.
People are interested in our plans with respect to NFTs. Up until now, we've been largely using them for promotional purposes. There's questions as to whether AMC would look to sell NFTs in the future.
So that also is an interesting question. That also was put on the radar screen by our shareholder base. I said in my early remarks that we have 8 NFT programs either already been launched or in the works. We historically, we only had 4 of these programs so far, but historically we've been giving away these NFTs. We did an interesting poll on Twitter saying, should we continue to give them away free or should we sell them? And the results of that poll in very round numbers are, 3/5 or 2/3 said keep giving away free, but a healthy percentage said we should sell some NFTs to generate some funds. So who knows exactly what we'll do going forward. Maybe we'll do a mixture of both. Some NFT programs we will give away free and others we will sell. But we are exploring very carefully and thinking very hard about how to maximize the profitability possibilities that could accrue to AMC from our interest in NFTs. And I would say that with respect to our competition, we're way out in front of any other movie theater exhibitor anywhere on the planet. We've issued literally hundreds of thousands more NFTs than anyone else.
There's a broad-ranging question here about how we keep AMC relevant with the strength of streaming.
Well, I do think that's playing out before our very eyes. If you look at the pandemic, the period when movie theaters were shut, studios played around with every possible variation of theatrical release, including taking some movies to the home simultaneous with theatrical release. In other cases, just taking movies to the home and not releasing them in theaters overall. I think we've convinced Hollywood that the way to optimize their profitability is for them to support their streaming services, but also to support theatrical exhibition. Theatrical window has returned. That's good for the future and relevance of movie theaters. Beyond that, though, if you really look at the darker times for revenue generation over the past 24 months, it's been because there just wasn't a lot of good movies coming out. And it wasn't so much the quality of movies that was bad, it was the quantity of movies that was depressed. What's happened of late, it started in the fourth quarter of 2021, finishing up with a huge hit in Spider-Man No Way Home, 3rd biggest movie of all time. Then we saw Uncharted and The Batman in the first quarter. Now we're seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Top Gun Maverick's around the corner. Jurassic World Dominion's around the corner. The summer is filled with movies. The fall, Christmas comes Avatar 2. I really do think that, among the biggest things we can do to assure our relevance is to make sure that we have a steady parade and cavalcade of major movie titles with broad consumer appeal that are being released by studios. Beyond that, then at AMC, we have a further obligation on top of just having good movies at our disposal. And we are absolutely committed to being innovators in theatrical exhibition, keeping the quality of our theaters high. As I said, we're investing sufficient funds to get $250 million of laser projection equipment into our theaters coming down soon. We've got more IMAX locations coming, more Dolby Cinema locations coming. We are going to continue to make our food products more enticing at AMC as we look ahead. So take all that together, combine it with the fact that people have been going to movie theaters for a century. I'm just certain of one thing in life. The movie theater industry as an industry and AMC as a company, we will be relevant and we will take whatever actions we need to stay relevant as we look ahead.
And finally, question about our partnership with Dreamscape and our plans with respect to that partnership. Will AMC consider more Dreamscape locations, for example?
Well, for those of you who don't know what Dreamscape is, it's a really innovative virtual reality product. We opened up 3 Dreamscape locations, one in New Jersey, one in Ohio, one in Texas, to test them. The product is spectacular. The economic returns are okay. They're not spectacular, but they're okay. We're told that there are changes in the technology coming with VR that will make it more affordable to introduce more Dreamscape locations. So with respect to Dreamscape specifically, we will see. But the fact that we were willing to embrace Dreamscape 3 or 4 years ago, I think is yet another signal of AMC's willingness to embrace alternate content. And this summer, we experimented with a variety of interesting concepts, showing concert movies, some live, some on tape. We showed WWE and UFC events in our theaters. For 2 of the past 3 years, we showed NFL games on Sunday afternoons in our theaters. And I just have a strong view that if we can obtain the rights to show professional sporting events or collegiate sporting events in our theaters going forward, that would be very popular with our guests. So all of this is in the works, and the minute we strike a rights deal with a major league, we will put out a press release. With that, are there any other questions? Do we have time? It's already 59 minutes in. We kind of promised people an hour, so maybe operator will take a question and then call it a day.
Thank you. It appears we have reached our time limit for the conference. This concludes our question and answer session. I would like to turn back to you for closing remarks.
All right, operator, I guess we're done. We tried. Closing remarks. Very simple, folks. We had a good quarter. We're on the march forward. We're in the middle of a long road to recovery. But if you ever want to get enthusiastic about where we are on that road, just look at the $187.4 million. 26% of it was ours, from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness this weekend. Go see it at an AMC theater near you. And I am telling you, whatever you do in life, do not miss Top Gun Maverick. It is one spectacular movie. Thank you, operator. Thank you, one and all, for listening.
The conference is now concluded. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.
자, 그래서 오늘 이렇게 영상은 마무리가 됐습니다. 아니, 영상이 아니고 이제 실적 발표는 이렇게 마무리가 됐습니다. 이 지금 실적을 좀 보고 하여튼 5월 말까지 저 볼 겁니다. 제가 저번 주말에 영상 올려드렸죠. 5월 24일 날 실적 실적 나는 게 아니고 뭐라 그랬지? 죄송합니다. 잠시만요. 뉴스 나온 거 있나? 없네. 하여튼 제가 이번에 영상 올려드렸습니다. AMC에 관해서. 그래가지고 한번 관심 있는 분은 보시기 바랍니다. 여기 마지막으로 제가 이 5월 24일 정확히 날짜로 제가 올려드렸죠. 요게 왜 제가 5월 24일이라고 제가 왜 얘기를 하고 예측을 하는지에 대해서 설명을 다 드립니다. 예. 이때 스퀴즈 난 거, 요때 난 거 다 관련돼 있는 겁니다. 그 아까 FINRA Short Interest 그거 보여드렸죠. 그 아까 링크가 저기 에러가 난다고 했는데 작년 2021년 1월 27일 여기 계시니까 잠깐 훑어드릴게요. 27일 날 이때 제대로 27일 나왔죠. 1월 27일 이때 나왔습니다. 제대로. 그 다음에 또 5월 말에 그 스퀴즈 또 안 났다고 1년 동안 버틴다고 했는데, 요때 났습니다. 저는 요때 또 계속 여기서 왔다 갔다 그냥 저도 이렇게, 단기로 트레이딩 하다가 요 사이클 때 요거 하여튼 또 패턴 파악을 했는데 요거를 제가 그때부터 파악을 하기 시작했습니다. 그때가, 5월 정확히 이때도 실적 발표 5월 6일날 실적 발표 이후로 터닝 포인트를 잡고 500%가 났습니다. 이거는 개인이 500%를 올린 게 아니에요. 이미 개인이 들어왔고 마켓 메이커하고 공매도 세력이 짓누르는 것들 FTD 제가 이 FTD에 관해서 영상 여기서 다 설명드립니다. 그래서 FTD 숏 커버링 그런 거 다 들어가서 마지막 날 요거 들고 계실 분들 기억날 거예요. 수요일 날 딱 수요일인가 목요일 날 제가 알기로는 수요일인데 하루 만에 100%가 올랐습니다. 그때 숏 커버링이 일어나면서 헤지펀드가 문을 닫고 나갔습니다. 그거 얘기 영상 다 저기 해드리고요. 요때도 숏 스퀴즈가 나기 시작한 때 요때 한번 이때 지금 실적 발표 오늘같이 실적 발표 5월달에 나고 나서 이게 쫙 이게 차차차차 올라가다가 한번 뺍니다. 그걸 빼고 나서 5월 말 정확히 여기서 한 금요일인가까지 T+2때까지 T+2 화요일까지 올랐다가 5월 25일 여기 작년으로 보면 여기 정확히 5월 25일 나오죠. 이거 제가 다 설명드렸기 때문에 관심 있는 분들은 보세요. 오늘 실적 발표로 숏 스퀴즈가 나는 게 절대 없습니다. 저도 지금 숏 스퀴즈 지금 이 사이클이 있어요. 다 얘네들이 하는 짓이 이런 짓이에요. 사이클이에요. 사이클. 3month 사이클이요. 3개월 동안 이렇게 2주 올리고요. 1주에서 2주 올리고요. 그다음 3개월 동안 빼요. 3개월이 아니고 한 2개월 반 정도 빼요. 그리고 또 올라가고 또 2개월 반 동안 빼고 또 올리고 이게 지금 계속 반복될 거예요. 근데 이번에는 더럽게 많이 뺀 거고 정신 나갔는데 어쨌든가 이번에도 하여튼 얼마나 올라가는지 좀 기대를 할 겁니다. 이게 지금 실적 발표를 지금 제가 봤는데 이거 왠지 모르게 뭐 하여튼 저도 상황을 봐야겠지만 느낌상 2023년까지 좀 기다려야 될 수도 있을 상황이 올 수도 있어요. 지금 여기에서 지금 중요한 말을 많이 했거든요. 지금 굉장히 큰 얘기를 많이 했어요. 그게 일단 뭐냐면 2023년에 아까 어디 갔어? 배당금 얘기했습니다. NFT 배당금 얘기하고 2023년에 모든 빚을 갚고 그때 이제 빚을 청산해야지만 이제 AMC도 그 배당금을 발표할 수 있는데 그게 아마 2023년 6월이라고까지 얘기를 했어요. 여기 나왔죠. 아담 에런이 직접 얘기했어요. AMC 배당금 내용 나왔고 AMC 현금 배당은 내년 6월 정도까지 나올 것 같다. 그때 가서 얘기하겠다. 아주 단칼에 딱 얘기하고 끝났는데 요거는 정말 중요한 내용이기 때문에 요거 좀 잠깐 좀 망설이게 됩니다. 저 솔직하게 좀 이거 AMC 이번에 좀 올라면은 뭐 하여튼 상황 돼서 뺄 거긴 뺄 건데 어느 정도 저도 이제 현금 좀 확보를 해야 되니까. 근데 하여튼 내년에 좀 재밌을 것 같기도 하고 하여튼 왜냐면 요거 배당금 나오면은 그때 쉐어 리콜 하고 그러면은 막 공매도 애들 막 쇼트 커버링하고 갚기 바쁘거든요. 하여튼 이번에 게임스탑 한번 나는 거 보고 봐야 될 것 같습니다. 이번에 게임스탑이 이제 디비던드 발표할 거거든요. 게임스탑이 이제 지금 숏 6월 2일 날 어닝 발표가 아니고 6월 2일 날 주주총회 있고 그때 아마 이제 배당금으로 주식을 그러니까 배당금으로 현금을 주는 게 아니고 여러분들 은행주나 이런 배당금주들 사면은 뭐 줘요? 현금을 주잖아요. 현금을 안 줘요. 게임스탑은 현금 대신 주식을 줘요. 무슨 말인지 아시겠어요? 그럼 어떻게 돼요? 그럼 공매도 애들이 그동안 친 것들 다 갚아야 되는 거야. 싹 갚아야 되는 그것을 지금 진행 중입니다. 게임스탑은. 이렇게 빠진 거는 너무 좋은 디스카운트죠. 오늘 아까 저기 잠깐 보여드렸는데 여러분들 지금 계시니까 여기서 지금 영상 보여드릴게요. 오늘 게임스탑 이 탑 바이 탑 셀입니다. 5월 9일 탑 바이 탑 셀 5월 9일 기준입니다. 여기 보이시는지 모르겠는데 5월 기준으로 테슬라 좀 있고요. 자 여기서 보시면은 게임스탑 보세요. 미쳤습니다. 매수가 초록색 보세요. 끝에 있어요. 제일 끝에. 야 대박이다 대박. 게임스탑은 끝났습니다. 이거는 뭐 더 이상 그래서 제가 더 이상 말 안 드리는 거예요. 게임스탑은 이미 끝났어요. 끝났기 때문에 더 이상 제가 게임스탑에서 언급할 그런 것도 없고 이미 영상에 다 올려드렸기 때문에 이 매수세 보세요. 매수세 테슬라보다 더 있어요. 이게 지금 장난 아닙니다. AMC도 보세요. 오늘 매수세 엄청납니다. 마이너스 9% 따지고 빠지고. 하여튼 게임스타 AMC는 끝장을 보고 뭐 이건 뱅가드 인덱스고 뱅가드 인덱스. 하여튼 뱅가드 인덱스만큼이나 이렇게 게임스타 AMC 쭉쭉 버티고 있고. 하여튼 오늘 시장 전반적으로 빠졌는데 대부분 매수세가 강해요. 예. 그렇기 때문에 하여튼 지금 그런 상황입니다. 그래서 뭐 게임스탑은 뭐 제가 영상에 하도 많이 올려드렸기 때문에 뭐 또 업데이트 뭐 딱히 뭐 새로운 업데이트가 있지 않는 이상 뭐 제가 더 이상 뭐 말씀드릴 건 없고요. AMC도 제가 그동안 제가 다 설명 마지막 영상으로 다 해드렸고, 근데 오늘 하여튼 실적 발표 요 나온 거를 좀 따로 제가 영상을 좀 만들어야 될 수도 있을 것 같아요. 하여튼 AMC가 지금 어닝 지금 뭐 빗했다고 이제 AMC 여기에서도 사람들도 이제 얘기를 하고 뭐 한번 볼게요. 마지막으로 한번 싹 훑어보고 마무리 짓도록 하겠습니다. 뭐 사람들이 뭐 AMC earning 뭐 다 괜찮다 나왔고 뭐 해가지고 뭐 하고 하여튼 하여튼 제가 다 언급해드린 거가 여기 다 있기 때문에 뭐 딱히 없을 것 같습니다. 하여튼 AMC가 이제 earning 그 quarterly earning revenue를 beat했다 이제 깼다 이거죠. 좋은 소식이에요. 그래서 아마 오늘 이렇게 5% 올랐지만 내일 아마 또 오를 겁니다. 내일부터 또 깨작깨작하고 오르기 시작할 거예요. 그러고 24일까지 쭉 보세요. 이제 사이클 들어온 상태고 이제 너무 재밌을 거기 때문에 저는 솔직히 재밌을 것 같습니다. 이번 사이클 이 6월달 사이클 재밌을 것 같습니다. 그래서 저번처럼 하여튼 어닝 끝나고 깨작깨작 올리면서 한번 가마 스퀴즈 비슷하게 한번 쫙 올랐다. 월요일부터 화요일 쫙 올랐다가 24일인가? 이때 당시에 25일로 알고 있었는데 하여튼 작년에는 5월 25일이 그 공매도 이자율 short interest 그때 report date인데 그때까지 쫙 빼다가 쫙 올렸죠. 하여튼 그거를 제가 기대를 할 건데 하여튼 이번에 얼마나 갈지 한번 기대를 해보겠습니다. 하여튼 하여튼 오늘 하여튼 와주신 분들 다들 너무 다 감사하고요. HYMC가 좀 빠졌나요? HYMC가 저번에 실적 발표 안 하고 괜찮았는데 요거는 이미 얘네들도 뭐 공매도를 치든 뭐 매도를 하든 뭐 그런 게 있는데 일단 뭐 AMC나 그 누구야 제가 저번에 보여드렸었는데 AMC하고 그 그 금속 투자 전문하는 사람 있어요. 캐나다 금속 투자 전문. 그 사람들이 똘똘 뭉쳐 있기 때문에 이 사람들이 나가지는 않는 이상 주가는 막 계속 잘 버틸 것 같은데 잘 모르겠습니다. 근데 여기가 AMC가 왜 나와 있지? HYMC 죄송합니다. HYMC 여기 보시면은 제일 탑 쉐어홀더가 지금 AMC 탑 쉐어홀더고요. 그 다음에 에릭 스프라웃이라는 사람도 같은 팀입니다. 머드릭도 옛날에 AMC가 좀 힘들고 펀딩이 필요할 때 도와줬던 회사예요. 요 세 팀이 다 한 팀이기 때문에 모르겠어요. 하여튼 여기서 이 심플렉스 트레이딩 이거 봐봐요. 이거 다 공매도 세계력이에요. 심플렉스, 콜 이러면서 왔다라 갔다 지네끼리 그냥 컴퓨터로 그냥 계속 그냥 깝치는데 여기 다 이렇게 보시면은 공매도 세력들도 있고 시타델 있죠. 마켓메이커 시타델 공매도 세력 이러면서 뭐 얘네들 다 그냥 가격 잡고 장난치는 거기 때문에 하여튼 이것도 보세요. HYMC 좀 일찍 들어가신 분이고 좀 나쁘지 않는 수익을 내고 계시면은 한번 들고 계시는 것도 저는 없어요. 근데 하여튼 HYMC는 솔직히 아까 AMC 그 실적 발표에서도 그 liquidity 그거 때문에 어디 갔어? 유동성 자산을 그걸 때문에 지금 투자했다고 했거든요. 그래서 아마 여기에서 수익을 좀 내려고 하는 것 같아요. 좀 장기적으로든 중장기적으로든 그리고 이제 해징 전략으로 하는 것 같아요. 그래서 AMC가 그렇게 끈끈하게 있는 한 하여튼 별거 없는 것 같습니다. 근데 하여튼 또 하여튼 이번 실적 발표 너무 시원시원하게 너무 잘해주셨어요. 오늘 뭐에 제가 좀 깜짝 놀랐냐면 공매도 세력을 언급했어요. 개인들 투자자들한테 너무 고맙다고 얘기를 막 감사를 표했어요. 막 진짜 소름이 돋을 정도로 너무 아주 그냥 되게 시원하게 얘기를 해주셨습니다. 하여튼 개인들 투자할 때 1년 6개월 동안 너무 감사를 표한다고 너무 고맙다고 그동안 너무 서포트 해줘서 고맙다 하고 개인들이 뭐 자기 트위터가 있으니까 막 여러 가지 막 하면서 1000개의 다른 아이디어를 주었고 그 중에서 이제 뭐 NFT, 전자화폐 같은 것들, AMC 즉 크레딧 카드 같은 거 그런 것들도 다 아이디어를 개인 투자들이 준 겁니다. 그래서 그런 거를 지금 진행 중이고 만들고 있는 중입니다. 이거 따로 제가 영상을 만들어야 될 것 같아요. 지금 하여튼 요거는 이 라이브 방송으로도 이거 하기에는 조금 영상이 좀 그래서 하여튼 요걸 따로 만들겠습니다. 하여튼간 그러고 하여튼 AMC 투자자들 짜증난 거 이해한다. 다크풀 트레이딩까지도 언급을 했어요. 예. 다크풀 트레이딩까지 언급을 하면서 숏셀러들 공매도 세력들에 대한 언급도 했습니다. 그러면서 막 하여튼 막 그런 얘기하고 그러면서 자기네들도 최선을 다하고 있고 NFT 배당금 얘기도 하고 많은 아이디어 받고 있다 그러고 충고를 받고 있다 그러고 AMC 사장이 너 AMC 다 팔았다는데 막 그런 막 헛소리하는 사람들이 너무 많은데 아직까지도 자기는 2.9 밀리언 주식을 갖고 있다고 얘기를 했습니다. 그리고 닥터 스트레인지는 꼭 팔아라 계속 얘기를 하는데 하여튼 여기서 지금 실적이 굉장히 많이 나온대요. 지금 뭐 거의 8배 가까이 나온다고 지금 들었습니다. 오리지널보다. 제가 예전에 제가 일주 전인가요? 하여튼 그 닥터 스트레인지 여기 무슨 뭐가 관련된 게 나왔었는데 하여튼 닥터 스트레인저가 지금 오리지널보다 훨씬 더 많은 매출을 지금 내고 있다고 했습니다. 하여튼 그거는 좀 하여튼 그건 언제 제가 그걸 했는지 모르겠는데 하여튼간 여기 하여튼 찾아볼까? 여기 내가 했던 것 같은데 아담 트위터? 이건 AMC 토큰에 관한 이거 AMC 토큰 그 사기 같은 AMC 토큰 막 그런 게 있어서 그런 거 그렇고 하여튼 제가 그걸 봤어요. 어디서 봤는지 모르겠는데 제가 그거를 봤는데 제가 하여튼간 이번에 하여튼 그 실적이 너무 좋았다고 합니다. 그래서 자꾸 이번에 실적 발표에서도 계속 닥터 스트레인지 언급을 한 게 그 이유고요. 그리고 스포츠 이벤트 WWE, UFC 영상도 막 그런 것도 준비 중이고 게스트도 준비할 거고 막 할 게 많아요. AMC 드림스케이프 VR 그런 파트너십 얘기 AMC 자기네들만의 전자화폐 따로 만들까에 대한 논의 중도 있고요. 애플페이 전자화폐 이런 거 구글페이 수용하는 거에 아주 성공적이었다고 얘기도 했고요. 막 하여튼 그런 얘기들 막 다 했습니다. 너무 아주 시원시원하게 얘기를 너무 잘해 주셨어요. AMC 스트리머 회사들 요거는 제가 봤을 땐 그 개인 투자자들이 아이디를 준 것 같습니다. 그래서 넷플릭스 같은 그런 스트리밍 회사들한테 연락해서 AMC 극장에서도 그런 상영하는 거에 대해서도 논의 중이다라고 얘기를 했습니다. 그리고 하여튼 AMC 배당금 얘기 내년 6월에 나올 것 같다. 그건 그때 가서 얘기하겠다. 하여튼 요게 정말 컸습니다. 그래서 이 AMC를 지금 하여튼 5월 달에 지금 저도 플랜을 또 어떻게 될지 모르겠는데 하여튼 5월 달에 지금 만약에 스퀴즈가 나면 저 다 팔고 나갈 생각을 하고 있는데 하여튼 좀 일단 하여튼 상황을 그때 가서 보고 또 그때 가서 결정하도록 하겠습니다. 요게 큰 겁니다. 이 배당금 때 나와야 그 스퀴즈의 마지막 그 끝자락을 볼 수 있기 때문에 하여튼 그거는 제가 나중에 따로 영상을 만들겠습니다. 하여튼 오늘은 여기까지 하도록 하고요. 이렇게 또 같이 이렇게 AMC 실적 발표를 이렇게 같이 참여해 주신 모든 분들 다들 감사드립니다. 다들 좋은 하루 보내시고 그리고 좋은 밤 되시기 바랍니다. 네. 다음에 뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.